Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Tres Leches Sports Podcast, brought to you in association with El Mundo Boston. I'm Gil Matos, and as always, joined today by my friends, my colleagues, Uri Berenguer, la voz de los Boston Red Sox.
What's going on, Gil? What's going on, brother? Listen, today, unlike my boys at the Tampa Bay Rays, more like Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, and the Dodgers, I'm in a championship mood, you know what I'm saying? I'm a bling, I'm a us champions. Or if you want, I can go this way. If you want, I can go this way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Which hand y'all like better? Which hand you like? If you want, we can go with both hands. If you want, we go with both hands. What y'all want? What y'all want? Only champions here.
And we are also joined by the reporter for New England Patriots and New England Revolution, Omar Cabrera. How you doing, O?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm in the championship mood too, and I want to start off by saying congrats to all my LA fans, all my LA people. I have a lot of them over there, and I know they're celebrating today, and they're happy this week.
Look at him taking ownership for the Dodgers. Look at him. He's not like he's a legit number one Dodger fan. Wow.
I said my LA people, my friends over there.
He had the hat on last week, and all of a sudden he's a big Dodger fan, huh? Yeah. I also do want to point out those are real rings. Those aren't like the replicas that I have here. Those are the real ones. But as always, guys, Tres Leches Sports Podcast. Three guys, three topics in the world of sports, and we're going to start off with those Los Angeles Dodgers. A strange ride, guys, that has been the 2020 baseball season ended with the LA Dodgers being crowned champs after beating the Rays in 6 games. In a game that, a World Series and a game that featured a lot of different things, including a controversial managerial move, a COVID test, and a lot of other things there. What were your thoughts on the 2020 World Series? Let's start off with you, Yuri.
Oh, man, you know what, Gil? This World Series game, this World Series actually left me with a weird taste in my mouth. At the end of last night's game, all I could think of, the only thing I could think of and still think of is, remember that movie, remember the Revenge of the Nerds? Remember those movies? Remember those great Revenge of the Nerds movies? Yeah. That's all I could think of all day today, all night last night. I was thinking, you know what? The Nerds let it get away. And they let the Alpha Betas get the win this time. The Alpha Betas beat Lambda finally. Lambda sitting there really just licking their chops. They have no idea what happened, but the Alpha Betas kicked their ass. That's all I could think of. I'm sorry, but it really just annoyed the hell out of me, Not to take anything away from the Dodgers. I'm very happy for Clayton Kershaw. I'm extremely happy for Mookie Betts, and even happier yet for my buddy Dave Roberts. Very happy for the Dodgers fans. Very happy for the Dodgers, period. Don't want to take anything away from them. But, guys, let's be honest. You know what? The Rays kind of just served it up for them. They said, here you go, guys, take it. And we were having this discussion over WhatsApp last night, and we watched the post games interviews. We heard everything they had to say. But one guy that caught my attention, I got to give him full credit, was Harold Reynolds. Harold Reynolds of the MLB Network said something that made all the sense in the world, and I absolutely agree with him. Guys, everyone was ready to really just to throw the blame on Kevin Cash, but Reynolds said, you know what? No. Kevin Cash is a former ball player. It's a former major league catcher. The guy knows baseball. He knows the feeling to be up there and at bat. He knows what the pitcher is feeling. He knows baseball. Never mind the numbers. What Reynolds said was, Kevin Cash is going to take all the blame. Good for him. But that didn't come from Kevin Cash. That wasn't Kevin Cash's decision. And I am completely down with that. I am absolutely on board with that one because I just knowing what ball players think, the mentality of a ball player. You don't take the ball away from Ian Snell last night. Kevin Cash's decision was not to do that. That was absurd. And it just really shows you that the Nerds have gone too far. I'm sorry. You've gone too far. There has to be an understanding that, yes, numbers are important in baseball. Numbers are more important in baseball than in any other sport, but there has to be a balance. There has to be the common sense in baseball. You have to know when the mentality of a ball player is more important than the numbers.
Who made the call then?
Who made the call?
Kevin Cash didn't make the decision. Who made the call?
I'm on board with that. I'm on board. I have no proof, but I'm on board that it did not come from Kevin Cash. That was an order from the higher ups, from somebody higher up than he is. And you know what? You got to convince me otherwise. I cannot believe that was a ball player's decision.
I think it was a decision that was made before, and you know what? You have to go with your guts, man. You still have to go with your guts. I don't care. This is Game 6 of the World Series, Gil, and if your pitcher's a stud, you better keep going with him. You better keep dealing with him.
Dude, yeah. Ian Snell had the Dodgers looking silly. He was throwing the no-hitter to what, the 4th inning?
I mean,
don't.
I don't know why. Who else would have made this decision?
Exactly.
Who else?
All right.
Who else? It's Blake Snell too, by the way. Ian Snell used to pitch for the Pirates.
Sorry, yes, apologies. Yes, you're right.
But so who else makes the decision then? I mean, it has to come, and they say this all along. It's like, and he says this all year long because everybody always says that, oh, you know, you're getting the analytics, the computer, blah 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 blah. And he says at the end of the day, the decision is still mine, and that's what he always says. It's what he's been saying all year long, right?
Because somebody pays him. Someone does pay him, right?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, so you really think the owner or the GM called down from up there and he's like, hey, I think it's time to get through there? Because, I mean, like you mentioned, he pulls him in the 6th inning, spinning a gem, 9 Ks through only 73 pitches, right? And what is this computer you're using then? Because the computer replaces him with Nick Anderson?
Well,
I mean, and like Nick Anderson, you can say arguably one of the top 3 best relievers in baseball the last couple of years, right? But he's somebody who in 6 of the last 7 games leading up to that game had given up at least an earned run or more in each of those games. So that's what the computer spit out at that point?
Well, I mean, that's what happened. I mean, that's what happened. I don't know who made the call. I mean, you know, that's a completely different topic. We can get into that, but I don't know. I just have a hard time really believing that was Kevin Cash's decision. I have a hard time believing somebody to tell me that Kevin Cash, not too far separated from Major League being a Major League Baseball catcher, was going to was made the guy who made that decision, that he thought that was the right thing to do. Guys, I mentioned this to you guys last night. I remember Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox, one of my favorite, absolutely one of my favorite, one of the best of all time by far. He used to say, he always said, a good manager knows when to manage with his gut. He has to know when to trust his gut and when to ignore the numbers. You know, Joe Torre was another guy who did that all the time. I like it when Omar points out. Omar likes to bring up Grady Little all the time. You know, Grady Little making that buffoon mistake with Pedro in 2003.
That is the anti-Grady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A manager is a baseball people. Baseball people know. You know, they played the game. You said it best last night, actually, as well, Gil. You said, I forget what the term you used was, or I'll clean it up a little bit. It was that being scared factor. That human fear factor that you don't get out of a computer.
Yeah, you can't account for the poop your pants factor there.
Yeah, there you go.
Omar, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think it was Kevin Cash's decision? And what do you think of the decision itself and the World Series?
Well, first of all, actually, I'm glad that, first of all, let me start by saying that I'm glad that Uri didn't mention the brothers Phi Iota Alpha right here. I'm glad he only mentioned Lambda. That's my fraternity, by the way. But Gil, you know what? To touch more on that, man, it was a great World Series. It was a great World Series. I'm never going to forget the awesome ending to Game 4. That's one thing that we're always going to remember. Unfortunately, we were robbed of having the opportunity of hopefully, you know, possibly having a Game 7. Thanks to, you know, to Kevin Cash, who turned into, again, Brady Little 2.0, but in the other direction, you know. But and this is my thing. I feel like there needs to be a balance, and we talked about this before, a balance. You know, I respect that every team's going that route now. You know, analytics, some people might want to call it sabermetrics, whatever you want to call it. But you know what? You can't rely on a computer. You never know how a pitch is going to pitch in that certain day. You know what? That's why you need to go with your guts. You need to always have a feel for the game. If a pitch is doing great, man, and this guy was, and you know what? I actually, now I listened to his comments after the game. He said, yeah, I understand it was the 3rd time around I was going to face them, but if they made adjustments, I was going to make my adjustments too. You know what? And you got to respect that. A smart pitcher is going to make adjustments too. So you don't think just because they're going to see him for the 3rd time in the lineup that they're automatically going to start hitting him. No, because a smart and really talented pitcher is going to start making adjustments too. And unfortunately, Snell did not get that opportunity.
But that's not even it. Oh, you know what? I agree, because it is. You can prove that at the 3rd time around the lineup, most guys do get shelled. But the difference is, and I don't care how smart you are, talented you are. No, the difference is the day of game. What's going on in that game? In that game, last night's game, there was nothing that told me that said get him out. Nothing. Yes, typically I would agree with, you know what, 3rd time around the lineup, that's dangerous, especially against a guy like Mookie Betts. Absolutely, 90% of the time. But last night, no, leave that man on the mound, because it was a special night. It was a special night.
Yeah, and he's also somebody who I believe, you know, I think he deserves that leash, because he's a former Cy Young winner. I mean, we're talking about a young guy, like, yeah, we're not talking about a young guy who who was like, you're playing with house money at that point. You're like, you know what? He gave us 5 good ones. Let's turn it over to the bullpen. You're dealing with a former Cy Young Award winner who was absolutely dealing out there. You can see the look of relief on all the Dodgers when they took him out. And then also even in the post-game interviews when they're talking to all the Dodger players, they're like, when they took him out, it was like, maybe now we can get something going. But what bothers me the most is, yeah, they took him out. But what bothers me the most is that they brought in Nick Anderson, the guy who has given up an earned run in 6 straight games and up to that point, and then 7 last night, right? So it's not even that they were like, okay, let's bring in, this guy who's been completely shut down. If you thought that was a huge moment in the game, then why isn't the guy who's been your hottest reliever in the postseason in there right now, And another thing that really bothered me, guys, and it kind of like just tells you a little bit about the state of baseball is in now, is that Nick Anderson was talking about after the game saying, and he's taking ownership for it, saying, put that on me. It's my fault. I felt fatigue. He said he felt fatigued, guys. He threw 30 innings all season long. Tom Seaver and Bob Gibson, rest in peace, who passed away recently, both turning in their graves listening to that. You threw 30 innings all season long, and you felt fatigued. 16 in the regular season, 14 in the postseason. He was fatigued.
I know we got to move on, but
and it was only 73 pitches in that game. This guy was feeling it. That's my problem. It's not like he hadn't even thrown 100 pitches yet, 73. He was feeling it, man. Like, I feel like he deserved a second chance. You let him face another batter or two before you pull him out, and that's like the big problem I had.
I think everyone except the Dodgers feel like they were robbed. I will say this, though. I will say this. I didn't have a dog in this fight. I really didn't. I just like to see baseball. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of happy. I never thought I'd say, but I'm kind of happy to see that the Alpha Betas just beat the crap out of the smartest team in baseball. That was pretty fun. They outsmarted themselves. I was
waiting for it.
We'll leave it there. Yeah, we'll leave it there. The smartest team.
Phi Iota Alpha, baby. Remember that name. Anyways, guys, the Patriots are 2-4. Cam Newton's playing like crap and has thrown 5 interceptions in the last 2 weeks. Injuries keep piling up, and they have no playmakers at all on offense. Gil, is New England done for the season? Who is to blame so far in these early games?
You guys made me go on the radio and make my case for Patriots being the team that has the best chance. I'm not going to forgive you for that. But anyways, I am going to say here, look, there's not just one finger to point here, because the fact is they lost 16% of their roster, more than any other team, due to COVID opt-outs, right? That's going to hurt you, especially when you're talking about Hightower, when you're talking about Chung, you're 2 big communicators on defense. Obviously, Cam Newton has not looked the same since he had COVID and missed a game with COVID, and since he's come back, has not looked the same. But my biggest finger definitely gets pointed to the head honcho, the GOAT coach of all, the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, and his downright dismal record drafting skill position players, right? Last year, he drafts N'Keal Harry in the first round. Let's look at the list, guys, of the guys that were drafted after N'Keal Harry so we can just punch ourselves in the balls right now. Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Mecole Hardman, D.K. Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Darius Slayton, all receivers who are ripping the league up, who were drafted after N'Keal Harry. And the other thing is, guys, honestly, if we're looking at the drafts and you're looking at it honestly, since 2016, which player have the Pats drafted that you can say he's made an impact? He's been an impact starter. I'm not even saying Pro Bowl. I'm not even saying All Pro. I'm not saying Pro Bowl. I'm saying what player have they drafted in 2016 that you can say that's an impact player in the lineup other than Isaiah Wynn? I can't think of one. I was looking at the list. I can't think of one. I mean, there's guys I like. I like Winovich does nice things sometimes. Damon Harris does nice things sometimes. I like what I see from Kyle Duggar, the rookie they drafted this year. But you can't really say that there's an impact player on there since 2016. So I got to point the finger at Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Belichick's the worst coach of all time, right?
Definitely. I said he's a GOAT coach. I prefaced it with that. But I will say,
I guess I misunderstood you.
Probably pretty bad at drafting skill position players, though.
Well, anyway, this week is do or die for the Pats against the division leaders, Buffalo Bills, of course. Should they start selling some of their talent like Stephon Gilmore? We keep hearing that a lot. And start looking ahead for next year, or is this season can still be salvaged? Uri, who's to blame for their demise so far? Listen,
I don't know if first of all, I don't know that I like you using or anybody using the demise of the Patriots. I mean, guys, this we have to say. I think of this in a similar way to the way that I think of the Dodgers World Series championship. You just cannot be overlooked. Like Gil said, you can't overlook how significant or real the COVID factor is. I mean, we've talked about it. We've talked about the COVID-19 factor. It's a real thing. These sports seasons have been anything but normal. We can't just pretend like the 8 guys who opted out prior to the season hasn't affected the team. We're talking about some of the most significant players too. I mean, we're talking in the case of again to reiterate what Gil said, Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, but it doesn't end there. Marcus Gannon, Brandon Bolden. They had more players, and again, they had more players opt out than any other team. That's
16% of their roster. Yeah.
We can't overlook that. So we just cannot overlook that. Combine that with the fact that the guys we lost to free agency, headed by, of course, Tom Brady and Jamie Collins. Add to that a new quarterback to the team, who, by the way, was returning from a season-ending injury and now had to adapt to a new system without the benefit of a full training camp. Not to mention, guys, just 3 weeks into the regular season, the guy gets COVID-19. Just 3 weeks, he gets diagnosed with COVID-19. It all makes for a perfect storm. A perfect storm that, unfortunately, perhaps not even the great Bill Belichick can get us through without suffering some serious damage to the ship, if not some casualties. I guess what I'm saying is, I think we got to pump the brakes a little bit. I'm not prepared to say that it's been the demise. Has it been a crappy a season thus far? Yeah, it has. But I'm not ready to jump off the ship and say this is it. This is the demise of the New England Patriots. I think maybe I'm being a little I don't know, immature, or I'm thinking of fairy tales. But I'm going to chalk this one up to COVID-19 mostly.
And, guys, I'm not ready to throw in the towel either, especially on Cam Newton. I feel like Cam Newton still has a lot to offer. I definitely, there's no way around it. He's been playing like crap in the last couple of weeks. But, I feel like, again, he has no weapons. You can blame it on COVID as well.
That's the problem.
Lack of practice.
Problem right there.
So definitely not all on him. But, and one thing I like so far about him, he's taking responsibility. He said, I sucked. And I know if I don't get better, I could actually lose my job permanently. So I give him props for that. Does he mean it? That's another thing. But you know what? I believe he's definitely taking responsibility for it. And there's, so many factors. And that's why I started, by saying, hey, this is a do or die week for them. You know what? If they win against the Buffalo Bills, they're back in this race. So we might not even be talking about the mice anymore, because they can get back on the hunt and they can, go on a winning streak. But we'll see what happens this week.
Guys, this offense was terrible last year with Tom Brady in there. Their skill position players are absolutely awful. And what did they do to address that in the draft this year? They drafted 2 tight ends. Have we seen them? Where are those 2 tight ends that they drafted? Where's Asiasi and Keene? Where are those guys? Yeah. So we haven't seen them. They've done an absolutely terrible job. They drafted Sony Michel in the 2nd round when running back is the most disposable position in the sport right now. So you got to point the finger. I mean, look, COVID it's definitely a tough thing to overcome, but you can say, look, in a normal season, there's a lot of injuries that you have to deal with, and it's always next man up with the Patriots, right? But at a certain point, I mean, they have shown me nothing the last couple of weeks that tells me they're going to break out of this rut. Yeah. That offense looks like a high school offense right now.
Listen, no one's taking that away from you, Gil. No one's taking that away. I get it. You're right. I mean, there's no way to cover that up. Yes, they have, Belichick has definitely made some draft picks, more than questionable draft picks. Absolutely, yes. But let's not kid ourselves, guys. We knew this. We knew that Belichick has always been defense first. Defense first. Unfortunately, this year the defense has looked, well, the last couple of games, the defense has also looked pretty bad.
Well, they're on the field for 80% of the time.
but last year they were also a defensive team. I mean, I'm not trying to defend the fact that you're right. He has no weapons. But that's not necessarily, for me, that's not the reason why they are, 2-4 now? I mean, I like to think that we have a better balanced team than what they've shown for the last 2 weeks.
All right, quick question here for both of you. Will they turn it around or not?
I mean, you know what? If by turning around you mean will they win the division? Is that what you mean?
Well, at least somehow make it.
That's the question.
As a wild card, at least make it as a wild card.
They have a chance. They have a chance to make the wild card just because of the weakness of the division. But I think the division championship is way out of reach. And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I couldn't put my money on it. No, I really couldn't.
I'm a betting man, and I'll tell you right now how all my Dolphin fan friends are trying to bet me. Will they finish with a better record than the Dolphins? And I won't make that bet. They're absolutely not turning this ship around. I'm looking at 6-10, 7-9, I think, at the best. Look at the schedule they have coming up and look at those games there. Yeah, you can chalk up the 2 Jet wins, but do you really think they're going to beat Buffalo twice? I don't think they're going to beat Miami.
Wait a minute. You're going to tell me that the team that we saw You go toe to toe with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks.
But
cannot beat the Buffalo Bills that we've seen the last 2 weeks.
They've been figured out though, Uri. They've been absolutely figured out. They scored 10 points against the Chiefs, 12 points against Denver, 6 against San Francisco. That's a high school offense run around. Cam Newton running an option around. They've been figured out. They're not beating Baltimore. They're not beating Arizona. I don't think they'll beat the Rams. Miami, nothing tells me they're going to beat Miami at Miami. Like they never have, even with Brady. So I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. I think this season's done.
I don't think the season's done. I agree that they can't win the division. I don't even, and I wouldn't take that bet that your buddies are offering you either. But I'm not willing to bet on the Buffalo Bills either. I mean, the Bills may win the division, but not because they're impressive. I mean, you're making it sound like the Bills are going to blow them out of the water. I don't think that's necessarily true either.
You can't score points. You can't win a game. So.
Well, we continue.
And right now they've only scored 30 more points than the Jets. Think about that.
Yeah, I know. We still have the worst coach in NFL history. I know that's how you feel. Hey guys, listen, guys, we're getting closer and closer each day to witnessing the return to the ring of two of the greatest of all time, in what will be, or what is, one of the most anticipated fights of the year. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., baby. They're going to face off in an exhibition fight on November 28th. And though the California State Athletic Commission has tried to downplay it as not much more than an opportunity for fans to see these legends, we've all seen the videos. We've seen these guys going through some rigorous training. And in the case of Tyson, he even said that he's in search and destroy mode, adding that he's looking to recapture his glory days by landing a knockout of Jones Jr. We now know that the fight will be scored by WBC judges, and that it will be for the newly introduced WBC Frontline Battle Belts. I wonder, and I'm going to start with you, I wonder, what do you make of all this? Is this what do you make of this new WBC Frontline Battle Belt? And is this a fight that that fans as fans of boxing really should be looking forward to, should be excited about? Or is this like the California State Athletic Commission wants to tell us it's nothing more than an exhibition just to go see these boxing greats?
So let me get this clear. We have a title fight between a 54-year-old boxer who hasn't fought since 2005 and a 51-year-old fighter who hasn't seen action in 5 years. And now we have created the Frontline Championship belt. You see, this is exactly what we talked about last week. This is the problem in boxing. Too many darn belts, championships out there. I'm not against this fight at all. Trust me, I want to watch it. I think it's actually going to be exciting, interesting. You know what? But, we have some of the organizers talking about, once we see some blood in one of them, we might stop the fight. So how are you going to call a championship fight when you have all these restrictions already? And see, that's the problem I have. And we talked about it this week, and we will probably keep mentioning it every week and keep talking about boxing. That's the only problem. But you know what? I'm all for watching it. I'm looking forward to seeing it because you know what? We definitely have two of the best fighters of all time, probably one of the best heavyweights of all time against one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of our era. So I really want to see it, but I wouldn't call it one of the most anticipated boxing fights this year.
Listen, man, the way I see it, as long as I don't have to defend my Tres Leches title belt, I really don't care. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, does the winner then have to defend his title versus George Foreman? Or why not give my countryman, Roberto Duran, a shot at the belt? I'm sure he could take it.
Yeah, let's bring him out. Let's bring him out of retirement, too.
Yeah, or hey, better yet, dig up the GOAT. Can you imagine the buzz that a Tyson versus Ali fight would generate? That'd be a fight. Come on now. We all want to see that, right? I mean, like you said, in all seriousness, look, I've never been a Floyd Mayweather fan, but when the guy's right, he's right. The former 5-weight world champion spoke to, who was he talking to? He was talking to Showtime Boxing. And he pretty much just said to give him credit as well, what Gil said last week. There are too many belts. Like you said, too many belts and too many champions in boxing. Simple as that. Too many belts, too many champions. You have an interim champion. You have a regular champions. You have super champions. You have super duper champions. You have itsy bitsy bitchy spider champions, and so on and so forth. I mean, every single letter in the alphabet champion. For the fans like myself, it's confusing because you don't really know who to respect. You don't really know who's the best. Who really is the best? I mean, does this belt mean more than the other?
Not the frontline belt.
Frontline belt.
Not the frontline belt. I mean, the frontline is the flea and tick medicine my dogs take. Like, and
exactly, you're right. Yeah, my dog too.
And the other thing is like, look, listen. When I was 7 years old, my dad put me to box my cousin Edwin, and we had towels on our hands and we were boxing. And they said they wouldn't take us to the beach if we didn't box. I won the fight. I knocked him down twice. My great uncle sent me a little belt at the time. That's the equivalent of this belt right here. That's essentially what it is, right?
So it's calling Edwin. I am so calling Edwin on that. I gotta call him out.
Me too. I gotta confirm this.
Yes.
He'll tell you. But listen, to quote the great Duke, who was a trainer in Rocky IV, it's a damn exhibition. So, call it what you want. At the end of the day, it's two old men fighting. They're going to make a lot of money off of it. Mike Tyson knows how to sell a fight, so of course he's going to say he's going to go for blood and all that stuff. He knows how to sell a fight. They're not in there. Nothing serious is going to happen. They're both going to collect a check, and we'll watch, right? So it is what it is, but nobody's taking this thing serious.
I thought it was funny that Floyd Mayweather actually had to, put in 5 cents, 2 cents in on this, and talk about there being way too many champions, this and that. He's right, obviously, but we know that he doesn't have much friendship going with Mike Tyson. We know Mike Tyson doesn't really admire him either. But to make it even worse, I mean, hey, Floyd Mayweather is the master of these fights. I mean, he's the guy who pretty much invented these exhibition fights, or made them big. And from what I understand, is there's a chance that he's going to be coming out of retirement to fight Logan Paul this year. Did you guys hear that?
Floyd Mayweather? No.
Yeah.
No, he's going to fight Logan Paul. I know Nate Robinson's going to fight, who is Jake Paul or one of the Pauls. So
he's on the same card. He's on the same card.
Yeah, he's on the same card. Those YouTube fighters, I'm so sick of watching YouTube fighters in boxing. Like, it's awful.
Maybe me and Uri can fight the undercard too.
Oh, we got this, dude. We got this.
Man.
We got this.
I'm sure our fans will definitely want to tune in for that. Guys, as always, we've reached here the final segment of our show, the Chancletazo o el Abrazo, where we give somebody a spanking or a hug based on what happened in the week. So I don't know. Let's start with you. What do you got for your Abrazo Chancletazo this week?
Actually, I got 2 big abrazos this week, señores. I'm a big soccer guy, and this week, my friend Engarra Charrúa, Diego Fagundes, forward for the New England Revolution, made his 261st regular season appearance at only 25 years old, tying legendary Raps player Chalrie Joseph for the most regular season games played in Revolution history. And for that, Diego, whom I saw make his debut at the young age of 60 years old, get my brotherly abrazo. Felicidades, Diego. And also, a few days ago, one of my sports idols of all time, estuvo de fiesta. Señores, I wanted to take this opportunity to say congratulations para el Rey Pelé. Felicidades, or like we would say it in Portuguese, Feliz Aniversario Rey, for turning 80 years of age.
Pele, happy birthday to the GOAT. To the GOAT. The GOAT, unless you're Argentinian. Yuri, what do you got this week?
I got to go. I think I'm gonna give 2. I'm gonna give an abrazo and a chancletazo. I'm gonna start with the chancletazo first. I gotta give a chancletazo, guys, to the entire Cowboys community, the Cowboys fans, the Dallas Cowboys themselves, and obviously as well John Bostic. I mean, what we saw last weekend when we saw John Bostic take out Andy Dalton the way that he did, it was disgusting. John Bostic is just. He took a hit at a guy. He took a shot at a guy, a defensive guy. I mean, he really put this guy's life in jeopardy, He really could have hurt Andy Dalton damn bad. But what made it even worse is none of the Cowboys stood up for him. None of his teammates, were in Bostic's face. I mean, guys, any of us, if we're out and I see somebody hit Gil or hit Omar, hell, I'm getting into that fight in a heartbeat. I'm in that fight in a heartbeat because you're not going to hit my boy. You ain't going to hit my boy. And we've all played sports. We've all been there. You stand up for that guy. You stand up for Andy Dalton. You stand up for your teammate. That was some chicken stuff, what the Cowboys did. The Cowboys fans ought to be ashamed, ought to be disgusted at their team. The Cowboys ought to be ashamed of themselves. And Bostic, well, same thing with him, but also the NFL. The NFL's not even penalizing him, not even suspending him. The NFL also gets a chunk of the thousand on my behalf. The entire thing was just disgusting. Just disgusting.
You can rip somebody's head off, give them a concussion, but don't let a little bit of air out of the ball.
Exactly. There it is. So they all get a big chunk of dust from me. But I'm also going to give a huge abrazo, and I mentioned this to you guys earlier on today. Bo knows. Bo, baby. Bo Jackson, guys. Speaking to primetime, none other primetime. Deion Sanders on his podcast. What's the podcast? 21st and Prime. Bo said that he could gain anywhere from 350, or he would average anywhere from 350 to 400 yards a game.
Average.
Playing in today's NFL.
In Tecmo.
In Tecmo Bowl.
Saying that nobody wraps up in tackles anymore. Nobody wraps up in tackles. So he would dominate the league. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, the first thing I thought of was like, damn, one of my heroes has gotten old. Damn, he's old. And then I just, think about the stuff that my dad always says, back then, my days, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It was so much better back then. It was, and I'm like, that's old man talk. That's how I first thought of it. That's old man talk. But then I also think to myself, you know what though? That's Bo. That's Bo, man. Bo knows. And if Bo says it, I'm like, you know what, Bo? I have no reason to doubt it. Bo knows. Go ahead, Bo. I'll give you an abrazo. I don't know if you can or not, but because you're Bo, I'm gonna give you an abrazo. I'm gonna say you can. So Bo Jackson.
Knows dreams. Bo knows dreams.
Yeah, Bo knows, man. I don't care. Listen, it's Bo. Hey, if he says it, I'm with it. I'm with it.
This week, I am going to do start off with my abrazo. My abrazo is going to go to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib, who beat Justin Gaethje very handedly, very easily in their fight last weekend to improve to 29-0, probably retiring after the fight, saying he cannot continue fighting without his dad in his corner. And when we hear fighters retire all the time, and we're like, oh, they'll be back. This guy's cut from a different cloth. He ain't coming back. He said he promised his mom he wouldn't fight again, left the gloves in the ring or in the octagon. So I give him a big hug because he is truly, truly, truly dominant and one of the most dominant champions we've seen ever in the history of that sport. Now, my changuetazos are going to go to the UFC fans who say that Khabib is the greatest of all time. And I agree with John Jones here when he says 15 is more than 4. And he's absolutely right. Look, people can say, yeah, John Jones lost a couple of rounds. John Jones arguably the referees gave him a fight or whatever. Listen, 15 title fights. That's 15 wars he's been in compared to 4. That's almost 4 times the amount of wars he's been in. So you got to respect that. Put some respect on that name. In my opinion, John Jones is the GOAT in the sport. But so that's my abrazo and chancletazo for the week. All right, guys. You what?
I'm gonna tell Khabib you said that. What's that guy in the video that you shared with us? The guy that wanted to fight Khabib. He was asking for advice on how to fight Khabib.
He wanted to fight George Masvidal.
Oh yes.
That's one of those Nelk Boys guys. They do all these prank videos or whatever. He's telling Khabib he wants to fight George Masvidal because he stole his girlfriend or something.
Get a dog. Get a dog.
Get a dog. That's what Khabib said to the guy. Get a dog. Well, guys, we reached the end of this episode. As always, you can tune in on Thursdays on El Mundo's Facebook page or the Tres Leches Facebook page as well. You can see all the social media down there. Please make sure to follow us, give us comments, give us likes as well if you agree or disagree with us. Again, as always, Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, we'll be posting the new episode. So for Uri, for Omar, I'm Gil Matos. Have a great night, guys. See you next week.
That's how you say peace.
Those are real.